A complete guide to the Old One's Army in Terraria. The Old One's Army is a tower defense style event from the game Dungeon Defenders 2. Starting out, you'll want to go to your tower and keeper NPC and buy whichever staff you want. For this video, I'll be using Ballista Staff, and then buy some Eternia Crystals and Eternia Crystal Stand. And for this video, we'll be using Valhalla Knight's Armor, as it gives the Ballista Staff a boost in damage. So use whatever armor for whichever staff that you're using. Personally, I like Ballista Staff. Flameburst Staff is also pretty good. But if you're a complete beginner, then I would recommend using the Ballista Staff, as it has piercing and a decent fire rate. So clear out a big flat area, and I finally bought some extra armor. You'll want this as flat as possible. If you have too many blocks in the way, the event simply won't spawn. But later on, we'll show you a glitch to completely cheese the event and complete it easily. So I'd recommend having something like the Terrorblade with high range, and then at least one summon along with whatever staff or summon that you're using for the sentries. The Old One's Army, after Golem, consists of 7 waves, in which the 7th wave has the boss Betsy. Technically it's a mini boss, but it drops a bag, so in this video we'll be calling it a boss. And as you can see, the event is not too difficult, especially late game, and I'm just using a Terrorblade. Some enemies will drop Etherian mana, which you use to spawn towers. Well, they're actually sentries, but considering the game was a tower defense, we'll call them towers for now. And overall, sentries are not that great in the base game, but for this event, they're pretty good since you can spawn multiple of them. And later on, we'll be pushing that to the limit. So after the wave ends, you can actually speed up the time to the next wave by just right-clicking on the little tower in the middle. And this is pretty much the event. It's very basic. Enemies come from each portal. They can damage your crystal in the middle, but the crystal has a ton of health, so it's not that easy to win. But it's definitely not a super difficult event. And once you reach wave 7, which it's definitely difficult getting here without your tower getting destroyed or dying, the Betsy boss spawns, which definitely is a pretty hard boss fight. Not one of the hardest in the game, not nearly as hard as something like Lunatic Cultist or Golem around the same stage of the game, but it is not a pushover. But with this gear and a legendary Terrorblade, it isn't that hard to defeat. And the next section of the video, we'll be showing the best way to cheese this event easily. So there's an anti-cheat mechanism that makes it so you shouldn't be able to place blocks or anything to block enemies from walking towards the center where your crystal is. But this does not include platforms. And in 1.4.4.9, this probably will be fixed if you're playing 1.4.5 or later, so newer versions. But currently, you can make something called a Hoik, which I'll show in a second, but it's basically a block that you hammer and then replace with a platform, and you cannot walk through one side of it. If you walk through the other side, you basically just teleport. I have an entire video on those, the link will be in the description, but for this video, I'll just show you how to use it to cheese. So you want to place down a block of your choice, literally any full-size block in the game. Here I use asphalt because I already had it in my inventory from working on my tutorial world. And you'll want to place that one block down. Then you want to hammer it until it becomes this triangle that's sort of floating. And then block swap it with the wood platform. That easy. As you can see, I cannot walk through this one side. And since you block swapped it with a platform, the anti-cheat does not work. Here, I accidentally killed all the enemies, so you didn't actually get to see it. And as long as you didn't place the Hoik the wrong way, double check before you actually start the event. You should be able to block any enemies from actually make it to your crystal, so it's very easy. Now, you do have to watch out for some that have projectiles, some that fly, or the bosses that hit it through, but you can pretty much just sit in the middle while using a mid-tier weapon and just shoot at the enemies, and it's that easy. This is the best method for it, but if you don't want to cheat, basically using a glitch, here's some other tips for the event. Make sure you have a ranged weapon as your main weapon, as you can really get overwhelmed by some of the enemies, and make sure you have good wings, like Fishron wings, or if you've already beaten the event, Betsy wings are actually really good. Next, make sure you have a decent summon. It doesn't have to be the Terra Prisma like I'm using here, but just any summon in the game that's really good. that can do some pretty good damage. And for your armor, you definitely want to use the armor that you buy from the Tavern Keeper, just so that your tower does even more damage. But for accessories, it's really up to you. I use movement here and some that boost the damage of my tower, but you guys can use whatever you want. And if you cannot spawn in the event, it's something with the anti-cheat, so make sure you don't have some blocks misplaced. Just make it a completely flat platform like this. And as you can see, using a method where I put Hoiks right next to portals, I was able to take this event down really easily without actually having to attack much. But the final one is, like earlier, what happens if you get infinite Eternia mana through cheat sheet. So I searched it up, found it, and got 10,000 of it. This is just for the video. Closed the menu, and then started spawning Ballista staffs. And it worked. I've done this once previously for a video, but this is actually really cool to just be able to spawn in as many staffs as you want and not even have to do anything. So this boss fight, I actually went AFK for it just to leave the game running so I could defeat the event without having to do anything. So if you're playing on PC and using T-Mod Loader, this is probably the best strategy. But other than that, just use all the tips in this video, Hoiks if you don't think they're cheating, and this event should be really easy for you. Also, just know there are different tiers of it after bosses. There's pre-hard mode, hard mode, and post-golem. Post-golem is the event I'm fighting here, as it comes at the end of the game, and is definitely the hardest. Each of them add more enemies, more drops, more bosses, and more waves. So if you want to fight Betsy, it has to be post-golem. And as you can see here, using a zoom extender, I was able to zoom all the way out and actually see both portals, though it didn't render in the blocks. Just for this video, it helps so you can actually see what happens, because enemies almost never make it on screen. That's how good these towers are, having infinite of them. And I probably could place them more efficiently, as there were some one-block gaps I could not get rid of in between a few of the Ballista staffs, but overall, this is a really funny way to just completely cheese the event, basically cheating. And finally, Betsy spawn, which was very easy to defeat. Thanks for watching. If you want that video on Hoiks, the link will be in the description below. But if you don't want to watch that and want to watch a different video from me, the link on the top left is what YouTube thinks you want to watch next. The bottom right is overrated and underrated items and weapons in Terraria. The bottom left is maxing things out like movement speed, attack speed, critical chance, and all that stuff. Those videos are really entertaining. And finally, the top right is the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.